What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Backcourt Bros. I'm your host, Will Neufeld, here with my good friend Ryan, as always. And in this video, we are talking all things the Boston Celtics. We're going to talk about their roster and their chances of competing in the 2025 NBA playoffs. So, Ryan, how about you start us off by talking about this team's roster?
Well, the roster right now is stacked. Like Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White, and Drew Holiday. Like they have it all in that starting lineup. Their bench is pretty decent too, with Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard and all these other guys there. It's looking really solid for them. My only concern for them is the salaries for everyone. Like you can't pay everyone equally, especially with Jason Tatum's new $315 million contract. And we thought Jaylen Brown's contract was out of this world. I mean, like, what are your thoughts on this, Will?
Yeah, so this team's salary is their biggest enemy. But for me personally, I don't see it as that big of an issue, though, because they have all these guys locked under contract for at least this next upcoming season. So
Yeah.
looking at 2025, this team is looking great. It's 2026, 2027. That's where we might see some issues for this team in terms of bringing these guys back. You know, at that point, you might have to revisit the whole, do you have to choose over Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown? The league might not, be very happy about you paying those guys that amount of money and keeping them on the same team. But yeah, I completely agree. I liked how at the beginning, when you were listing the players on the roster, you said Kristaps Porzingis first. That I like that a lot. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, really a great stretch floor big, great defense. When this team has all their guys under contract, you really the only issue you have is injuries. If
Yeah.
either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown gets injured, Kristaps Porzingis has another year where he just can't stay healthy. And let's say like even Derek White or Drew Holiday gets injured, like this could really derail this team, especially facing some of these bigger teams in the Eastern Conference now that the Knicks and the 76ers, they've made moves, they've heavily improved their roster. Uh, the Celtics are going to have it coming in the playoffs for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, like especially with all these other teams and the trades they're making, the sign-ins and stuff. Like, come on, like it's going to be a difficult matchup. I'd say even for the Celtics against the new-looking Philadelphia 76ers and New York Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, comparing the Celtics to other teams in the East, the Celtics are a great team because they're just as good offensively as they are defensively. You look at even a team like the 76ers. This is a great offensive squad. Joel Embiid's a good two-way player, but then, Maxey and Paul George, they are by far not bad defenders, but, the roster is lacking a lot of that defense. Uh,
Yeah.
Celtics overall, it's just like they can shoot the three, they can defend all the positions. It's like, as long as we're assuming that the Celtics are healthy, if they were to play maybe like the 76ers, you don't have to really worry. It's like, Kristaps Porzingis has Joel Embiid. He can, take care of that. You have Al Horford that can hop in there too.
Oh
You also
yeah.
have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown that can help with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Drew Holiday can help with Tyrese Maxey. But yeah, Ryan, one question for you. If this Celtics team could improve in anything, whether that's three-point shooting, defense, inside scoring, playmaking, one of those things, what do you think that they need to improve the most?
You know, it might be their bench, honestly. It's pretty solid compared to a lot of other people's benches, but like if they were to get one good, decent star that's willing to come off the bench, I think it's game over for everyone in the East. Like, I mean, as soon as you sub in Peyton Pritchard, I mean, that guy was a walking turnover in the playoffs, especially the finals, because he made like two shots, I think. The whole finals, they were half court buzzer beaters. But I mean,
Yeah,
like, there's not enough ball to go around for most of the Celtics, you know? Like, there's Porzingis that is a lot ball dominant, you know? Tatum and Brown are ball dominant. I mean, Derek White and Drew Holiday aren't, but I mean, they were huge roles in the playoffs defensively. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. This Celtics squad, uh, their bench isn't great, and I think they sacrificed a lot of their bench production to help get the best starting five. And recent NBA history, actually, when we just look at like pure starting fives, like everyone on the Celtic squad is humble, good defensively, good offensively. Uh, the only thing for me that I would like to see them improve in, besides the bench was the big one, but I guess the second most important thing for them to improve is they need to figure out who is their superstar, because this ties into
Oh yeah.
Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, because one of the things that I saw in the finals was, you know, they were kind of struggling, the role players on the team, they were struggling kind of thinking about, hey, do we give it to Jason Tatum or do we give it to Jaylen Brown? Who is our guy, right? And for most of the time, it was shockingly Jaylen Brown in the Eastern Conference
Oh yeah.
against the Pacers. It was all JB. And the finals, it was all JB as well. Jason Tatum had a few good home games. But, you know, yeah, it's really just going to come down to who's going to be their number one option. And that's ultimately my question for you. If you're the Celtics and you need to pick now, like who's going to be, if we need to get a bucket, who are we going to give the ball, right? Who is that guy for you?
It's very tough. Like it could be 50-50 any single day because there's Jaylen Brown, who still everyone says has no left hand. And then there's Jason Tatum, who was very inconsistent in the playoffs this year. He proved a lot when he was younger, like against the 2017 Cavaliers. I think that was their game 7 in the conference finals.
Yeah.
But he proved a lot, and so did Jaylen Brown. But it's 50-50 any day. I think it comes up to like in the future you need to decide this, not right now, honestly.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I think we can both agree that Jason Tatum is the more talented player over Jaylen
Yeah.
Brown, but Jaylen Brown is just he's got that knack for like shining in tougher moments like the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's not the best playoff performer. He's not, completely exceptional when the playoffs come around, but he just doesn't fall off as much as Jason Tatum does. And so
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Jason Tatum's biggest issue, is that he'll play MVP caliber all season long. And then it's like, honestly, I'd rather see Kristaps Porzingis taking a Kareem hook shot than see this guy with a wide open 3-pointer at times.
For real.
So looking at next year's playoffs, we can definitely see that the Celtics are going to have a lot more competition this next year than they did this year. So one of those teams is definitely the New York Knicks. So Ryan, what are your thoughts when it comes to just the one-on-one matchups between the Knicks and the Celtics? Who do you see ultimately coming out on top?
OG Anunoby is a big forward / guard. I mean, he could probably take on like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum. Like, he's just that good. And then you have Mikal Bridges, like in case he gets tired. Like it's the perfect defensive matchup. It's a defensive nightmare for the Celtics, in my opinion. Then missing Hartenstein is definitely going to hurt them against Porzingis because we saw that in the Dallas Celtics series. Like, who do they have on Kristaps the whole time? Kyrie. Like it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. If the Knicks can replace that center spot, I don't know who that would be. They have Mitchell Robinson, but he's kind of injury prone. If they could get someone, I can't think of a name right now, but either in free agency or by the trade deadline next year.
Guess what? They could maybe land one of Cleveland's centers.
That is true. If Cleveland decides to move on from like Jarrett Allen or something, that would be a great pickup for the Knicks, especially sticking with the defensive end.
The Knicks also have a pretty decent bench, I'd say. For like they can move a lot of their starters. Like if they want to like cut down minutes on a couple, they could put them on the bench to rest them. But they also have like this McBride kid who's really good. So I mean, I'm on that'd also be a good matchup for the Celtics and Knicks. I'm very pleased with the teams so far. But now moving on to the Indiana Pacers. How do we feel about their lineup compared to the Celtics?
So the Celtics, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat this. If we're talking about this Pacers team and this Celtics team, Celtics sweep, obviously. The one thing about this Pacers squad that I do like is Tyrese Halliburton and his ability to just improve everyone around him on the court. So, they don't have a great roster, especially compared to the Celtics. Like, they don't match up well at all. But Tyrese Halliburton has the ability to possibly make his teammates better. We saw that with Pascal Siakam. He played phenomenal against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and didn't lead to any wins, but that was because Tyrese Halliburton was setting him up beautifully all series long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the defense from Derek White and Drew Holiday is going to smother up Tyrese, Al Horford. He can lock up Pascal. Obi Toppin, good 3-point shooter, good driving threat, lob threat. That's also interesting, but I think with Kristaps Porzingis clogging the paint, it kind of restricts him to be more of that 3-and-D guy. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that the Pacers really have a shot against this Celtics team unless they make, again, some moves by the trade deadline, similar to how we were talking about the Knicks. But what do you think about this Pacers squad? What do you want to see from them in order to compete against this incredible Celtics team?
So what I noticed in the series last year is that every time the Pacers, they had almost no hope going into the game, but as soon as they got there, they were 2 points off from taking the lead, and then they just lose it. They need a more consistent scorer than Nemhard and Pascal. I mean, Tyrese was injured during that series, but I feel like if they bring in one more superstar to complement Tyrese and Pascal that fits them both, I feel like they have a decent shot at making the Celtics at least struggle,
Yeah, that could also be an interesting conversation when you think about the Cavs possibly giving up one of their centers. I mean, Jarrett Allen, Pascal Siakam, front court could be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but you also have Miles Turner, too, in there. So you got to figure out how to bench one of them.
Yeah, having a guy like Miles Turner to come off your bench would be definitely an advantage when the Celtics put in their bench roster and then the Pacers put in theirs. But the Pacers have Miles Turner who can stretch your floor like that. That's going to be that could give them the advantage. How old is TJ McConnell? I'm just now remembering him because he was kind of insane all series long.
The TJ McConnell and Peyton Pritchard matchup was awesome.
It actually was. We're not trying to make fun of these guys though, but it was like, holy cow, it was actually entertaining at times because
it was.
Yeah, they got a lot of minutes because the game was over by halftime, and that's when TJ McConnell came out and he was like, "I'm gonna lead us back," and then never did. Also, when we talk about teams that could compete with the Celtics, we of course have to bring up the Milwaukee Bucks. This was a team that was incredibly hyped last season with the new Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo duo. There's still a threat out here. They struggled with injuries, but if you've seen Giannis play in the Olympics at all thus far, you're trying to remember that he's really good. Because if there's any one man that could lead his team to beat this juggernaut Celtics squad, it's definitely Giannis, I feel like. Looking at the benches of these two squads, you got Bobby Portis for the Bucks. If he comes off the bench, he might start. He's one of those players that's kind of swing.
Yeah.
They have Marjan Beauchamp, the Bucks do.
Yeah.
They also have, is there anyone that I'm forgetting?
There's literally no one on the Bucks bench. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one really on the Celtics bench either besides Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
So, these two squads. What do you think about the Bucks' ability to play defense on this, on the 3-point just dominance of the Celtics with both Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford stretching your floor, Kristaps Porzingis stretching your floor? How do you see a team like the Bucks, or honestly any team? How do you see them defending it?
We saw Dallas crumble when it had to happen. So I feel like with Giannis being a good stretch player who can guard Kristaps Porzingis' role instead of rolling like he goes out to the perimeter, I feel like Giannis could guard that while they have Brook Lopez still stepping into the paint to bring the presence there.
Yeah, definitely. I liked what you talked about with Giannis going out and playing that perimeter defense. Giannis is not really an exceptional perimeter defender, but for that size that he has, he definitely does well out there. And so I can see him being a threat to Kristaps Porzingis. Brook Lopez staying in the paint and just being that inside presence. He's an incredible shot blocker. Damian Lillard, but he's not that great of a defender. He was a better defender a few years ago, but it's not the same Damian Lillard. But yeah, That's all the time that I think we have for today. So, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think about the Celtics? Are they going to all the way again next year? Just tell us your thoughts, and we will see you guys in the next one.